Understanding the madness, the devastating impact of mad cow disease. Mad cow disease, scientifically known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, is a neurodegenerative disease that affects cattle. This disease gained widespread attention in the 1980s and 1990s when it was discovered that consuming contaminated beef products could potentially lead to variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, CJD, in humans. The devastating impact of mad cow disease extends beyond just the agriculture industry, affecting public health, food safety regulations, and global trade. Understanding the complexities of mad cow disease is crucial in order to prevent further outbreaks and protect both animal and human populations. While significant progress has been made in controlling the spread of BSE through strict regulations and surveillance programs, the threat of this disease still lingers as new cases continue to be reported worldwide. From the economic repercussions on the beef industry to the tragic human toll of variant CJD, the impact of mad cow disease is far-reaching and multifaceted. This article aims to delve into the history of mad cow disease, its causes and transmission, recent developments in research and prevention, and the ongoing challenges in ensuring food safety and public health in the face of this complex and evolving threat. Overview of mad cow disease, symptoms and progression of the disease, transmission of the disease to humans, preventative measures, and safety precautions, impact on the meat industry and economy. Overview of mad cow disease. Mad cow disease, also known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, is a fatal neurodegenerative disease that affects cattle. The disease was first identified in the United Kingdom in the 1980s and quickly spread to other countries around the world. BSE is caused by abnormal proteins called prions, which infect the brain and spinal cord of infected animals, causing holes to form in the tissues, giving them a spongy appearance. BSE is a unique disease in that it has the ability to jump species barriers, meaning it can be transmitted from cows to humans. This is known as variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, VCJD, in humans, which has devastating consequences for those affected. The first cases of VCJD were reported in the 1990s in individuals who had consumed contaminated beef products. Symptoms of VCJD include psychiatric symptoms, muscle stiffness, and loss of coordination, ultimately leading to death. The transmission of BSE occurs through the consumption of contaminated meat products, particularly from infected cattle. The disease can also be transmitted through the use of infected cattle products in animal feed, which was a common practice in the past. This led to widespread contamination and the rapid spread of the disease throughout cattle populations. In response to the BSE crisis, many countries implemented strict regulations to prevent the spread of the disease. These measures included bans on the feeding of animal proteins to cattle, surveillance programs to monitor for the presence of BSE in cattle herds, and the destruction of infected animals. These efforts have been largely successful in reducing the incidence of BSE and preventing its transmission to humans. Despite the progress made in controlling BSE, the disease continues to pose a threat to public health and the agricultural industry. The long incubation period of BSE, which can be up to several years, means that infected animals may not show symptoms until they are already in the food chain. This makes it difficult to detect and control the spread of the disease, highlighting the importance of ongoing surveillance and monitoring programs. In addition to the economic impact of BSE on the agricultural industry, the disease also has serious implications for public health. The link between BSE and VCJD has raised concerns about the safety of the food supply and the potential for a human epidemic. This has led to increased scrutiny of food safety practices and a greater emphasis on traceability and transparency in the food chain. In conclusion, mad cow disease is a devastating neurodegenerative disease that poses a significant threat to both animal and human health. The impact of BSE on the agricultural industry and public health has been profound, prompting increased regulation and surveillance programs to prevent the spread of the disease. Continued vigilance and research are essential to ensure the safety of the food supply and protect the health of both animals and humans. Symptoms and progression of the disease. Mad cow disease, also known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, is a neurodegenerative disease that affects the brains of cattle. This disease can also be transmitted to humans through consumption of infected meat products, leading to a fatal condition known as variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, VCJD. Understanding the symptoms and progression of mad cow disease is crucial in order to prevent its spread and mitigate its devastating impact on both animal and human health. Mad cow disease typically has a long incubation period, often taking several years before symptoms begin to manifest. In the early stages of the disease, affected cattle may display subtle signs such as changes in temperament, decreased milk production, and difficulty walking. As the disease progresses, more severe symptoms may develop, including behavioral changes, aggression, and loss of coordination. In advanced stages of the disease, cattle may experience difficulty standing and eventually become paralyzed. In humans, VCJD presents with a different set of symptoms compared to the classic form of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Initial symptoms may include psychiatric symptoms such as depression, anxiety, and hallucinations. As the disease advances, patients may experience cognitive decline, memory loss, and impaired coordination. Ultimately, VCJD leads to severe neurological deterioration, resulting in the loss of bodily functions and ultimately death. The progression of mad cow disease is characterized by the accumulation of abnormal prion proteins in the brain, leading to the formation of microscopic holes in brain tissue. These holes give the brain a spongy appearance, which is how the disease acquired its name. The abnormal prions are believed to cause a cascade of protein misfolding and aggregation, resulting in neuronal dysfunction and eventual cell death. Diagnosis of mad cow disease in cattle can be challenging, as symptoms may be nonspecific and overlap with other conditions. Definitive diagnosis typically involves the examination of brain tissue post-mortem for the presence of abnormal prion proteins. In humans, diagnosis of VCJD is also challenging, as symptoms can mimic other neurological disorders. Confirmation of VCJD is typically achieved through a brain biopsy or by analyzing cerebrospinal fluid for abnormal prion proteins. There is currently no cure for mad cow disease, or VCJD, making prevention and control measures critical in combating the spread of the disease. In the case of cattle, strict surveillance, testing, and control of animal feed practices are essential in preventing the spread of BSE. In humans, measures such as banning the use of specified risk materials in food production, enforcing strict slaughtering and processing practices, and monitoring the food supply chain are crucial in reducing the risk of transmission. In conclusion, understanding the symptoms and progression of mad cow disease is essential in raising awareness about the devastating impact of this disease on both animal and human health. Early recognition of symptoms, timely diagnosis, and strict prevention measures are key in mitigating the spread of this fatal neurodegenerative disease. Vigilance and cooperation among stakeholders in the agricultural, veterinary, and public health sectors are imperative in safeguarding our food supply and protecting human health. Transmission of the disease to humans. Mad cow disease, also known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, is a fatal neurodegenerative disease that primarily affects cows. However, what makes this disease particularly alarming is its potential transmission to humans. The transmission of mad cow disease to humans is a serious concern due to the devastating impact it can have on individuals who contract the disease. The primary route of transmission of mad cow disease to humans is through the consumption of contaminated beef products. The prions, which are misfolded proteins that cause the disease, can be present in the muscle tissue of infected cows. When humans consume meat products from infected cows, there is a risk of the prions infecting the human brain and causing the human form of the disease, known as variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, VCJD. The transmission of mad cow disease to humans has been well documented in several cases, with the first instance of VCJD being identified in the United Kingdom in the late 1990s. It is believed that the outbreak of mad cow disease in cows in the UK led to the transmission of the disease to humans through the consumption of contaminated beef products. Since then, there have been cases of VCJD reported in other countries. highlighting the global concern surrounding the transmission of mad cow disease to humans. One of the reasons why the transmission of mad cow disease to humans is so concerning is the difficulty in diagnosing the disease. Symptoms of VCJD can take years to manifest, making it challenging to identify and treat individuals who have contracted the disease. Early symptoms of VCJD can include psychiatric symptoms, such as depression and anxiety, as well as neurological symptoms, such as difficulty walking and coordination problems. As the disease progresses, individuals may experience rapid cognitive decline and muscle stiffness, ultimately leading to death. In addition to the consumption of contaminated beef products, there is also evidence to suggest that mad cow disease can be transmitted through other routes. For example, there have been cases of VCJD reported in individuals who received blood transfusions from donors who later developed the disease. This highlights the potential for the disease to be transmitted through blood or blood products, further complicating efforts to prevent the spread of the disease to humans. Efforts to reduce the transmission of mad cow disease to humans have focused on implementing strict regulations and monitoring systems within the beef industry. These measures are aimed at ensuring that infected animals are not processed for human consumption and that beef products are tested for the presence of prions before being sold to consumers. Additionally, there have been advancements in research aimed at developing treatments for VCJD, although these efforts are still in the early stages. In conclusion, the transmission of mad cow disease to humans is a serious concern due to the devastating impact it can have on individuals who contract the disease. Efforts to prevent the spread of the disease to humans are crucial in order to protect public health and ensure the safety of the food supply. Continued research and surveillance are essential in order to better understand the transmission of the disease and develop effective strategies for its prevention and treatment. Preventative measures and safety precautions. Mad cow disease, also known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, is a fatal neurodegenerative disease that affects the central nervous system of cattle. This devastating disease can also be transmitted to humans through the consumption of contaminated beef products, resulting in a variant of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. As such, taking preventative measures and safety precautions is crucial in minimizing the risk of spreading this deadly disease. One of the most important preventative measures is implementing strict regulations and guidelines in the farming and meat processing industries. This includes prohibiting the use of meat and bone meal from infected animals in animal feed, as this has been identified as a major source of contamination. Additionally, regular monitoring and testing of cattle for the presence of the disease can help to quickly identify and contain any outbreaks. Another key precaution is ensuring proper hygiene and sanitation practices in slaughterhouses and meat processing facilities. Thorough cleaning and disinfection of equipment and facilities can prevent cross-contamination and reduce the risk of spreading the disease. It is also important to separate high-risk tissues, such as the brain and spinal cord, from the rest of the carcass to minimize the risk of contamination. Furthermore, proper food safety practices are essential in preventing the transmission of mad cow disease to humans. Consumers should make informed choices when purchasing beef products, opting for reputable sources that adhere to strict quality and safety standards. Cooking meat to the recommended temperature can also help to destroy any potential prions that may be present. In addition to these measures, the implementation of surveillance and monitoring programs is essential in detecting and controlling the spread of mad cow disease. This includes regular testing of cattle for the disease, as well as surveillance of the food supply chain to identify any potential sources of contamination. Authorities should also collaborate with international partners to share information and best practices in preventing the disease. Education and awareness are also key components in preventing the spread of mad cow disease. Farmers, veterinarians, and industry professionals should be educated on the risks and symptoms of the disease, as well as proper biosecurity measures to prevent its spread. Consumers should also be informed about the importance of food safety and proper handling of beef products to minimize the risk of transmission. In conclusion, preventing the spread of mad cow disease requires a multifaceted approach that includes strict regulations, proper hygiene practices, surveillance programs, and education. By implementing these preventative measures and safety precautions, we can reduce the risk of spreading this devastating disease and protect both animal and human health. It is essential that all stakeholders work together to address this serious public health threat and ensure the safety of our food supply. Impact on the meat industry and economy. Mad cow disease, scientifically known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, has had a profound impact on the meat industry and economy since its emergence in the 1980s. This fatal neurodegenerative disease affects cattle and has caused widespread concern among consumers, regulators, and industry stakeholders worldwide. One of the most significant impacts of mad cow disease on the meat industry is the loss of consumer confidence. The discovery of BSE in cattle raised concerns about the safety of beef products, leading to a dramatic decline in consumer demand. In response, many countries implemented strict regulations and monitoring programs to ensure the safety of beef products, which increased the costs of production for meat producers and processors. As a result, the meat industry faced financial losses due to decreased sales and increased compliance costs. Furthermore, the outbreak of mad cow disease had far-reaching effects on international trade. Many countries imposed bans on the importation of beef products from regions affected by BSE, causing disruptions to global supply chains and reducing export opportunities for meat producers. The restrictions on beef trade had a negative impact on the economy, leading to job losses in the meat industry and related sectors. In addition, the discovery of BSE prompted regulatory changes in the meat industry to prevent the spread of the disease and ensure the safety of beef products. Authorities implemented measures such as banning the use of certain animal byproducts in cattle feed, strengthening surveillance programs, and introducing traceability systems to track the origins of cattle. These regulatory changes imposed additional burdens on meat producers and processors who had to invest in new technologies and procedures to comply with the requirements. Moreover, the public health implications of mad cow disease have had lasting effects on the meat industry. The transmission of BSE to humans through the consumption of contaminated beef products, leading to variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, VCJD, raised concerns about food safety and consumer protection. The outbreak of VCJD cases caused public outrage and forced authorities to take swift action to prevent further infections, including the implementation of stricter food safety controls and awareness campaigns. Overall, the devastating impact of mad cow disease on the meat industry and economy serves as a cautionary tale of the risks associated with animal diseases and the importance of maintaining high standards of food safety. The outbreak of BSE highlighted the vulnerabilities of the meat industry to biological threats and demonstrated the need for proactive measures to prevent future crises. As the meat industry continues to face challenges related to animal diseases and food safety, stakeholders must work together to ensure the sustainability and resilience of the sector in the face of emerging threats. In conclusion, mad cow disease remains a serious and devastating illness with far-reaching implications for both public health and the agricultural industry. It is crucial for policymakers, researchers, and the public to continue to prioritize efforts to better understand, prevent, and contain the spread of this disease. By enhancing surveillance efforts, implementing rigorous safety measures, and investing in research and education, we can work towards mitigating the impact of mad cow disease and safeguarding both human and animal health.